we are still, even though we are in the post-pandemic era, we are still dealing with, and the movie industry is still to a degree dealing with the repercussions of the pandemic era. I mean, there are still a number of people that have not started going back to the movie theaters ever since the pandemic happened. Now, a lot of people, even though Spider-Man No Way Home like crushed the box office, a lot of people pointed to Top Gun Maverick, fairly so, for the fact that it was Top Gun Maverick that brought a lot of the older demographic that had been sitting out the movie theater experience for a while, since before the pandemic, to come back to the movie theaters. And that was important and really significant. But it still hasn't been everybody. And now, according to a report, and this story is coming to us from Variety, but according to a report, nearly a quarter of the people who've gone to see Barbie had not been back to the movie theater since the pandemic started. Variety writes the following: Barbie brought sporadic moviegoers back to the theaters in a big way. A new survey from film tracking service The Quorum found. Quorum surveyed 1,800 Barbie ticket buyers in the US over the past 3 weeks, finding that 11% quote unquote couldn't remember the last film they had seen in a theater, and another 11% said Barbie was the first film they had seen in a theater since the pandemic started in 2022. That means like 22%, over a fifth, nearly a quarter of the people who had gone to see Barbie, which has now made over $1.18 billion at the box office. It was Barbie that got them to come back to the movie theater. Now, this gives us some insight into a number of things. For example, there have been a number of movies that have come out in the last number of months that hadn't performed up to expectations, and a lot of people asking questions about why. Well, if we're finding out that nearly a quarter of the people who've gone to see Barbie haven't even been back to the movie theater since the pandemic, well, that starts to shed a little bit of light and a little bit of context on some of the movies, not all of them, but on some of the movies that may have struggled a little bit financially when they weren't expected to struggle. But on the positive side, though, guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money. Did you know that the average person has around 12 paid subscriptions, and they might not even remember to subscribing to half of those? If you have no idea just how much you're spending each month, you need Rocket Money. It's this great app that tracks all of your expenses so you know exactly where your money is going. I recently just found out that over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about. Seriously, think about how many free trials you subscribe to that you just probably never canceled. And that's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money, because I was one of those people. When I signed up to Rocket Money, I was stunned to find out that a gym I had belonged to in another city I lived in, I had still been paying my dues to for over 2 years. Also, that music subscription service I use, yeah, I forgot I was subscribed to 2 other ones. That's where Rocket Money comes in, because Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. With over 3 million users and counting, Rocket Money customers have saved on average of $720 a year. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. Here's the thing. A lot of studios can look at this and feel some encouragement, because look, when we as people have a good experience, we look forward to doing that experience again. Doesn't matter if it's a restaurant you go to, a theme park ride, hell, maybe even sex. When you have a good time and a good experience, you look forward to going back and doing it again. And there are a lot of people who have been abstinent from the movie theaters since before the pandemic. They needed to break the seal, Ray.
Oh boy! Don't.
This was all you,
Ray. Don't Ray this.
This was you. You gave me this analogy
beforehand. Black out my screen right now. He's talking to a different Ray.
But I mean, really, a lot of people have been abstinent from the movie theaters for years now.
Is that the only word you could think of right now? Is that the only? Let me look at this.
Go on thesaurus.com.
So they haven't gone, right? And now, hopefully, they've gone to Barbie. And Ray, pull up the critic and audience ratings for Barbie now. So hopefully, they've now gone out to Barbie, and now you've got an entire new batch of people in the millions.
And millions.
And millions who hadn't been to the movie theater in years, and now they're back in the game. Abstinent for years, now back on movie Tinder. They're swiping right, Ray.
Oh boy.
Actually, I don't know. Which way are you supposed to swipe on Tinder? I have no idea. I'm going to go with right. They're swiping right, Ray. They're back. So what's the audience
The
rating for
critic
Barbie?
is the audience is 83 and the critic is 88.
So you've got this vast majority of people who came out to a movie for the first time they've gone to a movie in ages, and the movie they went to, 83% of them had a good time. That is encouraging for other movies because now you've got an even bigger potential draw. More people are now back in the game. Now, will that immediately translate to Blue Beetle making $100 million opening weekend? No, I'm sure it won't. But it's at least putting more players back in the pool. And I personally think that could be significant. Again, in the backwards, it gives us context because it gives us some little bit of information about why maybe some movies may have struggled a little bit because, hell, we just haven't had the numbers of people back in the movie-going game yet. And now moving forward, a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of enthusiasm because, you know what? People went to the movies, had a good time. You know what? I'd love to find out what percent, okay, out of that 22% of people who went to go see Barbie that had never been back to the movie since before the pandemic, I'd love to know how many of those people then also went to go see Oppenheimer. I mean, they don't have that information here, but I would love to know that statistic. I think that would be really interesting. So I don't know, maybe that'll help Blue Beetle coming up. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be a little bit more of a long game, but the important thing is more moviegoers are going back to the movies again. And if movies like Top Gun Maverick and Barbie can do that, that's good for the whole industry. So we'll see how that all kind of translates. I just thought that was really interesting. Hey guys, thanks for watching our video. Make sure you like and subscribe, but also we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast available on your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and find it, the John Campea Show podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your preferred podcasting app.